Not your average tabletop. Woohoo!
Welcome to Not Your Average Tabletop. I'm Zach,
And I'm Pepper.
and today we're going to be giving our first impressions of Latice, Hawai'i, which is a game, a tile placement game, pretty much. It
Yes.
really makes me think of Quirkle,
Yeah,
even though it's not quite like Quirkle.
there's tile placement where there's like 5 different colors and 5 different symbols within those colors, and there's some
kind of
connection
thing.
rules related to that. It's going to feel like Quirkle.
Yes, but it's not quite the same as that. You're just looking at what's adjacent to the tile you're placing.
Yes.
And yeah, at first I thought that's probably not as interesting as Quirkle, and I thought this will probably feel like really weak sauce.
Really
possible.
weak sauce. It is a family weight game.
It is
So
a family weight
family
game. I think
awards.
that's probably a thing that I going into it, I thought it's probably a little lighter than I tend to like myself. So I wasn't sure going into it, and yeah, then we gave it a spin with the what rule set is it? We didn't make it even for the
No, we just shuffled the tiles and split them between the 2 players, which there are some wind tiles that are special and let you move things around on the board, and they say you can also split those evenly amongst the players as well and mix them into their pools. We did not do that, and I ended up getting more of those, and I did end up winning, and I feel like that could have definitely been the deciding factor.
Potentially.
To sway it a little bit, because we got pretty close. It's just a game. First one to get rid of all of their tiles wins. So you being able to move around and get better, I was going to say scoring, but there's not really scoring, but it's better scoring placements. That can definitely be powerful. So I'd probably recommend keeping those even.
Yes, but yeah. Otherwise, it does bring out fun kind of puzzly pieces to it, because it is one where, like you said, not really scoring, but there is scoring because you can get these gems to potentially get extra actions, which in a game where it's a race to get rid of your tiles, extra actions are always helpful when you're placing more tiles and more tiles. Then you also get to kind of draw out of your pool of tiles, so you get new ones in as well. So you're just hoping that you continue to get good ones that kind of go and connect with what's out on the board.
Yeah.
If you get 2 matches, I believe, then it's
then you get a
plus
half,
one
a half stone, which you would have to spend 2 of them to take an extra action.
Yes.
If you match on 3 sides, you get a full stone. If you match on all 4 sides, you get 2 of those full stones, which I thought you can match with either color or symbol. So if you could match 3, if it's like a red dolphin, you could have 3 reds on one side and a dolphin, green dolphin on the other side, and that would work. I like that it's
I do
a
like
little
that.
more freeing in what you can place.
Yes. But yeah, it also kind of, I don't know, it felt weird sometimes.
Yeah.
Because it's like the 3 red tiles all have different symbols, and then you got the green dolphin, and at first,
It's like
let's just say you move it or whatever. Say that green one was somehow in there or something, whatever. Finding, if you had the wind tile and then had the red dolphin, finding that is not always the easiest, I felt. When because I was like, I'd look at the symbols and be like, oh, that doesn't match. It just felt like a different way of thinking. To try to find those really good
that
spots.
probably is because Quirkle and we're so used to that.
Yes.
That it's kind of trained us to think of those spots as like kind of dead spots that are just you can't place in them. So yeah, it does take a little adjustment. But yeah, I felt like it did feel fresh to me. Just trying to wrap my head around kind of what's out there. There's more options than I probably think there are. Even if it's like, oh, there's nothing great, you do have to think a little bit harder. Just to be like, okay, there's more going on here than I initially thought. Like you could have 3 different colors in a spot, but if those 2 single colors are like birds, like a green bird, a blue bird, and then maybe 2 yellow tiles with completely different symbols, you got a yellow bird, that can actually fit there. It's just weird to think of. But yeah, I thought that it was very satisfying placing. The production's really amazing as well. It's got amazing plastic tiles as well as classic gems and the holders tile trays, which actually hold them very nicely.
Stand up.
Yeah.
Very easily.
Yeah. Very colorful board and symbols. Got some gold areas on the board. Gold glossy. Not really kind of foil, but not really foil, but
foily,
it's got that
metallic-y
shine.
look.
Yeah. And there are printed sunspots on the board that get you those large
A yellow tile as well,
gems,
or gem tile.
which is always like you don't want to set up your opponent for that, which
Right.
I think it probably evens out throughout the game.
Yeah.
But there are times where it's like, that just feels like it's going to end up working in their favor, which isn't the best feel, but
Right.
I think it evens out.
Yeah, I think so. But yeah, it provided more interesting choices than I had initially thought that it would. But yeah, I think after one play, this one for me is probably... trying to think, because I definitely like Corkle better, I think. I just like the thought of getting a lot of points. But this one, I think, is different enough to potentially have both of the games. Especially if you like Corkle, you might like this as well. But they are, like I said, different enough. Yeah, trying to think. I just give, if I'm thinking realistically, like in the whole collection, where I'd put this one, it might be more at like a 6.5. But yeah, maybe with more plays, it could go up a little bit. I don't think that this one will ever be like my favorite game, just because it does feel a little bit more very close to mass markety. I don't know if it is, but it's kind of right on the edge of being that in ways. But there are enough interesting hooks, I think, that gamers will like this one too.
Yeah, I think it's very approachable, very well produced, which I don't know if that's the most mass markety thing. I feel like they can feel kind of toy-ish sometimes, which this can feel like that with the awesome components, but also they do feel a little cheaper, and this does feel very...
that's true.
Very nice components.
Yeah.
But then also family weight, so it does kind of feel that way as well. But like you said, I feel like there is just enough of a hook and interesting decisions that are different than I get, different way of thinking than some other tile placement games, that I think this one justifies having it in my collection for now. Obviously, if I played it 100 times, maybe it would probably feel pretty samey from game to game, but I like the race of trying to get rid of the tiles. I mean, it's like dominoes, just first to get rid of those tiles, but there's enough options out on the board that whatever you pull, you should be able to at least do something.
But I will say too, there is definitely a luck factor in this one, a heavy luck factor. If you are just getting, I think the thing that kept me in it, because you had a decent amount of those early on, and I think maybe you could have been more aggressive and trying to place a lot quicker. And I think if you had done that, you would have probably beat me pretty badly. But I think I did look out a lot of the time with tiles, because I think you would sometimes leave something that could potentially be good. But I pretty much had to have the right tile to go there, and I almost always did. Whereas if I didn't have those, that would have been very frustrating.
Yeah, there were a lot of times with that, and then leaving those sunspots open as well for you to be able to get those gems to get additional turns. Yeah, for sure. But there's that point in the game where you realize it's like, I gotta just rush as fast as possible and get rid of these tiles. Yeah, this is probably coming in at... Oh, what's he expecting? I don't even know what he expects me to give this.
I have no idea, actually.
I'm thinking maybe an 8.25 for me. It's a good, solid game. I've only played it once. I would like to play it some more. I don't know if it would ever be like just that top tier, like filler game for me. But I think it's a solid one, and I definitely wouldn't mind coming back to it. Probably any time. It's a pretty quick one as well.
Yeah, it's definitely approachable. So yeah, if you're looking more for family weight games, if you've played like the like a Corkle type game, if
Yeah.
you've played that before, or yeah, I'm trying to think of other games that are kind of that level. I think this one's right around there as well.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
very approachable.
Yeah, I don't know if it's they have a few variants in the game, so you can remove those wind tiles, and I think I would do that if you were playing with younger children, just because I think that is they're not gonna really be into
I think it
understanding
depends. It
how to
depends
move
the
around the
age,
board.
I think.
It does, but
yeah, I could see
pretty young probably start without those
Yeah.
in there. So I'm glad that they do have those variants. I haven't played with them, but hopefully they are good and can be a nice introduction.
Yeah, I would agree. But otherwise, we have an unboxing video to go alongside this if you want to kind of check out some of those components, get a better look at those. So we hope to see you on that video, and as always, don't forget to
Keep on nibbling.
on our content.